We're talking Big East Hoops preseason storylines, and we're going out to Omaha for it. Fox College Hoops analyst Nick Bahe is joining us right now. Nick, let's get it cooking. Let's start with Bahe's big take. What's your outlook here on the upcoming season in the Big East?
Well, I think the interesting thing is what's going to happen with Marquette's supporting cast with the Hauser boys' departure. They were the team that at the end of last year, everybody kind of thought, oh, this could be like a Final Four, top 5 preseason type of team. Now they're going to have to retool a little bit. I'll be real interested to see what Coach Wojciechowski does there. They have a Utah State transfer sitting out. Kobe McEwen's really good player, going to help take some pressure off of Marcus Howard. Seton Hall, a year ago at this time, and this is going to give me great credibility, John, so just get ready for this. A year ago at this time, I thought Seton Hall was going to get last. Like that's when they lost Delgado and Carrington and Desi Rodriguez. I was blown away at the job that Kevin Willard did last year. And so they return everybody. They feel like they're a team that could really punch through that second weekend. I know Ed Cooley dealt with a lot of injuries, especially at that point guard spot. Once he gets that whole position locked down and ready to go, they could make some noise. It's just, I look at probably 6 teams right now that I think can really look at themselves in the mirror and say, we can make the NCAA tournament. And when you're talking about 6 of 10 teams potentially dancing, it's a pretty good year, and at least on paper heading into it. I'm really excited to see what everything's going to shake out and look like.
It starts with experience, and last year the conference was relatively young, 4 NCAA tournament tickets. Now these guys are a year older. That makes all the difference. And let's stick with Providence with that, Nick, because A.J. Reeves had a foot injury. David Duke was tasked with point guard, shooting guard, had to do a little bit of everything for them. Ed Cooley goes out, he gets Lawan Pipkins from UMass, and he believes that that's the key. And as a former player for you, how does that alleviate the pressure from those guys and potentially allow them to blossom?
Well, ultimately, basketball is a comfort and confidence sport. You got to be comfortable in your role and your position, and that's going to impact your confidence. And it felt like to me last year that because of some injuries, they had guys playing out of position, which creates a domino effect of confidence and comfort. And not to mention the 2 guys we mentioned, Reeves and Duke, they were freshmen. You know, I mean, so there's already a learning curve with that. So I think just getting those guys in their natural position, that's going to help. Get them a year under their belt of experience, that's going to help. And although we think of Providence, at least for me, when I think of Providence and Ed Cooley, I think of rough, tough, bully ball, beat you up in the paint, own the glass, own everything around the rim. But ultimately, their teams have kind of been sinking or swimming with point guard play. Kyron Cartwright, Chris Dunn, Bryce Cotton. Ultimately, Coach Cooley, with the way they play, they need a good late clock playmaker. And they're hoping that David Duke and A.J. Reeves, those guys can be a little bit more comfortable, be healthy, be confident. Then you infuse, obviously, whatever transfers you can sprinkle into that. And then I think you're talking about something. So I'm excited to see what they'll look like. It was interesting talking to Coach Cooley at the end of the year last year. I think he kind of just gave that shrug like, we dealt with injuries. Anything that could go wrong went wrong. And so I think if they can stay healthy, look out for the Friars because I think they got a pretty good nucleus.
You talk about point guard play. We saw that. The bricks get laid at that position for Georgetown last year with James Akinjo and Georgetown, a freshman class that really broke out immediately. What are your expectations for the Hoyas in 2019-20?
Well, I think they're one of those teams that can look at themselves in the mirror and say, why can't we be an NCAA tournament team? I think they hit the necessary checkpoints throughout the season of improvement. I was so impressed. If you remember, John, last Saturday of the Big East regular season, Marquette was hosting Georgetown. And Marquette had a chance to win that. If they win that game, they clinch a share of the Big East title. And it was rocking in Fiserv Forum. I mean, rocking in there. And here comes Akinjo, McClung, LeBlanc, all those young guys in that environment. They go on the road and win. I just remember driving away from the arena thinking, whoa, those guys are on an ascension that I think is going to be really, really good for them. I think the world of James Akinjo. Sometimes those California dudes are a little soft. There ain't nothing soft about James Akinjo. I think if Mac McClung can infuse just a little bit of, I don't want to call it just more intelligent shot selection. I still think he took that high school mindset of, I'm just going to go get buckets no matter what. And I think if he can infuse a little bit better decision-making of when he attacks, how he attacks, is a little bit more patient, I think his efficiency will increase. I think Coach Ewing's done a really good job. Like I said at the start, I don't know why Georgetown can't look at themselves in the mirror and say, we can go to the NCAA tournament.
That said, we've got some questions submitted on Twitter. Who's the most improved team in the Big East?
Well, it's weird to say a team that pretty much returns everybody is going to be the most improved team, because usually when you think of improved, you think of new faces. I think Xavier is going to be really, really improved. I think they showed what they could be at the end of the season last year. They finished 6-1 in the regular season. They put it together. They were a group that saw a little adversity early in the year. And I think there were some tough times navigating things for Travis Steele, filling in the shoes of Chris Mack. But I think the fact that those guys didn't quit on Coach Steele speaks volumes about Travis Steele as a coach and the handle that he has on that group. I just think they return everybody. They're going to all take that necessary step forward. Quentin Gooden, Najee Marshall, Paul Scruggs, and then remember the name Jason Carter, the Ohio transfer. Big, strong, versatile guy, really fits in with what Xavier wants to do. I actually had the game on Fox last year, Ohio at Xavier, so I watched Carter play against Xavier. He's a really good player. I just think you saw what they could be at the end of last year. I think they're going to pick up where they left off and then some. I like the X-Men improving quite a bit this year.
How often do we see it? Kids that transfer into other programs, the opposing coach who now brings them in gets a really good look at them in game action.
No doubt about it. I think all those other players too. I mean, Tyreek Jones, all those guys guarded him, and they said, "Oh, that guy's on our team. That's great." I mean, because he's a really, really good player. That's one of the more under the radar, big time transfer pickups in all of college basketball.
How about that? Not to mention the Musketeers have a top 25 recruiting class. Kiki Tandy, Zach Fremantle. There's possibilities there. We've also got a Creighton question here with your roots in Omaha. Who's the best player on this Creighton team?
Well, I think a lot of people, the on-paper answer would be Tyshawn Alexander, and he really did a nice job with Team USA, really went in there and asserted himself. He went to Chris Paul camp, point guard camp, so he's really improved. But I think when you take everything into the equation, defense, offense, passing, all this stuff, I think Marcus Zegarowski is Creighton's best player. I think he's also their most important player. I think it allows Tyshawn Alexander to slide off and focus on just being a scorer, allows Mitch Ballack just to think about moving the ball and knocking down shots. I think Marcus Zegarowski is outstanding. When he was healthy and when he was in the lineup, Creighton was really, really good last year. They just hit the skids a little bit when he broke his hand. As long as he's healthy, he's really good. He reminds me a little bit of Fred VanVleet. He's got a little bit of VanVleet in him, a little toughness, a little bit quicker than you think he is, gets to his spots. I think the world of Zegarowski. I think, although a lot of people maybe wouldn't think it, I think he's Creighton's best player.
That's fascinating. In the Big East opener last year at Providence, Creighton hit 13 triples, and that was because Zegarowski was just buzzing. He was doing anything and everything right, if you remember that win. And that was what they could have been, but just losing him to the injury, that impacted Creighton. We'll see what they can do this upcoming year. One more fan question, that is, we know about Miles Powell, Nick. Who's got to be the X factor for Seton Hall?
I'm going with Sandro Mama Kalashvili. I think he is, I nailed that, right, John? My pronunciations, even in the summer, are on point, right?
It's only August.
Yeah.
A couple more months.
Well, here's the thing. Ultimately, for Miles Powell, he's going to need guys that can knock down shots or just score to put pressure, take pressure off of him. There's going to be a lot of ball screen situations with Powell, with Mamu Kalashvili. The ability for him to be able to make teams pay for sending to it Miles Powell, score in the post, score from beyond the arc. He could become a little bit more efficient of a perimeter jump shooter. I just think he's a guy that has the necessary skill. And ultimately, people are going to be daring him to make some plays because of all the attention for Miles Powell. I think Mamu is going to be a big X factor.
That's what Bill Raftery calls him. So it's okay.
Just stick with Mamu. Yeah, let's just stick with that.
Stick with Mamu. Nick, we'll end with this. I think it's the best question heading into this season in the Big East because you have an incumbent, Marcus Howard or Miles Powell.
You know, I'm leaning Miles Powell right now. And mainly because I think Seton Hall is going to win the conference. On paper right now, they're my pick to win the league. I'm a guy that is, to the victor go the spoils. Team success breeds individual success. I think Miles Powell, the ability to add different things to his game. He gets to the free throw line. He gets easy points in the paint. He gets easy points in transition. He has a way of scoring in a variety of ways that make it really hard for him to A, have an off night, or B, take away everything with what he's trying to do. So for me, I'm going Miles Powell as your preseason Big East Player of the Year.
Follow him at Nick Bahe on Twitter. You can catch him on Fox College Hoops throughout the season and basically everywhere in the college basketball world. He might be in the middle of America, but he crosses all fronts in college hoops coverage.
Spread the wings.
Nick Bahe, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, John.